A friend of mine used to be the Irish Consul General in New York, and he tells this great story, Tim, that he had to deliver a speech at a dinner of a New York Police Department dinner. And the cop who had organised it pulled him aside before he spoke. And he said, "You're Irish. Most of us are Irish American in the room. We can all chat. But we're waiting for our dinner. And so we needed to be brief. And by the way, we carry guns. So let's make sure." So I'm going to be brief here today. But I will start with just saying, what a fantastic day. The buzz in the room, the energy in the room was so positive, which is very exciting. And it's a great validation of the work that everybody's put in the last few months to have so many people stay for the day, so many people with us at the beginning of the day, and so many people coming up to me over the day saying, how can we actually get involved? And I think, again, under Finance Isle of Man's leadership, they've actually created this vehicle now from the steering group and now into the Isle of Man Sustainable Finance Initiative to allow people to get involved. And that's a really important thing in today's age. And Janice was talking about so many challenges that are going on around us. And let's see how the election plays out in the US today. But vehicles where people from both public and private sector can positively contribute and contribute to an impact there aren't a lot of them around nowadays. So again, I just think this process, and it was a process, it was a very well run process, has allowed that to be created. As I said, I want to congratulate the steering committee and of course Michael and his team for organising today, but also for bringing together the roadmap, and as you saw earlier on, the 10 different actions. And as I mentioned, the key thing is Action 1, the Sustainable Finance Initiative itself, and everything will now flow through that going forward over the next 2 years, and it will drive that 2-year implementation phase. And across the day, we've also heard several very positive interventions and sessions, starting with the Minister, who welcomed us here this morning. Paul and myself then jumped up and did our act. We then had Hannah, Bettina, and then obviously the capacity building session was excellent. And then Greg's excellent moderated session, and was really, really good and enjoyable to listen to what everybody else was doing on the Isle of Man offset market. And then we just had Janice's session, and I know Janice from Ireland, and she is considered one of the foremost leaders in Europe in terms of sustainable finance, because she's actually done it. A lot of what she was talking about there today, Janice did in previous roles. So she's been out there raising billions in green bonds while this agenda was just taking off, and during COVID as well. So it's great to have somebody who's actually a practitioner from one of the big firms to be able to talk about how you go about doing this. So thank you very much, Janice, for joining us today. And the key thing that I took from Janice's session was always alpha to be made. And I think that's an important thing as well, right, for today's session, that we're not a bunch of philanthropists. We're not foundations here. This is commercial activities. This is about business. We need to get you investing and financing transition activities, just economic transition activities, but in doing so, you can get a return as well, and that's a very important message. And of course, as Janice pointed out, a lot of different instruments that are available that we can use in this space. Tracking back across some of the earlier sessions, it was great to hear Hannah talk about the just economic transition and give the case study of SSE and how they've gone about doing what they need to do as a big, big firm. And also talk about, at the heart of this, it's about people. It's about your staff. It's about your suppliers. It's about your community. And then, of course, it's about your customers. And really putting that at the heart of your business strategy, not your CSR, your business strategy as you transition as a firm, either financing that, as Lloyds are doing, or as a real economy firm that you're actually trying to develop your transition plan, or of course as a regulator who is looking at what these transition plans look like. Bettina then spoke to the regulatory agenda, which I really enjoyed her remarks, and demonstrated and highlighted, her commitment to this agenda. And if I may say, Madam Regulator, it's been a real pleasure working with you and the team the last few months, getting to a point where we have 5 of the 10 actions are geared towards FSA. So really looking forward again, watching how they roll out over the next 2 and a bit years. And then also very interesting was a great slide that Bettina showed where Pillar 1, the regulatory pillar, disappeared, and what was left was Pillar 2, 3 and 4 in terms of talent development, mobilising capital and finance, and promotion and communications, and how the work that FSA is going to do in the next number of years supports the realisation of those different pillars as well. And I think that was a very good visual today. And as she said in her closing remarks, All this work that the SFA is going to do now and supporting the work of the Isle of Man Sustainable Finance Initiative will allow the Isle of Man to flourish as a world-class sustainable finance centre. And I thought that was a really important message out of Bettina's remarks. And then we went to the culture, the capacity building session. And sometimes we don't emphasise enough at a cultural level of our different entities and how we need to drive change, starting at the board level and down and then up as well. So I really, really enjoyed that session. It was great to have the guys here with us today. And then into Greg's session, which again was, I actually felt for Greg standing here for nearly an hour. I know my back would have given out to me, but you're far fitter than me. It was great to see all the chairs full. And even though I've been spent the last 5-6 months with Paul, Mike and the team learning about what the Isle of Man is doing, some of the stuff was news to me as well. So I found that quite exciting in terms of demonstrating the breadth of activities that are already ongoing on the island. Again, underpinning a key thing out of the roadmap today is that the island can become a living lab for developing new products and services. And perhaps within that, really carve out a role for itself as one of the leading nature finance hub, especially, as so many people remarked today, underpinned by the UNESCO biosphere, the only whole nation in the world to actually have that designation. And I think that's absolutely fantastic and something that obviously Dina and colleagues will be really leveraging off as terms of the marketing communications. So in terms of what a day, a lot of energy, a lot of activity. And how do we now outdo ourselves in 12 months' time? So no pressure, Dina and colleagues. It's obviously about delivering against the 10 actions in the roadmap. They have to be tracked, they have to be measured, progress has to be repeated back or replayed back to the ecosystem on a regular basis. But we heard Madam Regulator, we heard everybody else talk about today, and as I said in my opening remarks, this vehicle has now been created to allow for that public-private partnership. And you will only get out of it what you actually put in. So if you are walking away today and saying there's an opportunity for me in my company, well, get involved. Get involved in this process. Get involved with the Isle of Man Sustainable Finance Initiative under Finance Isle of Man's leadership. And in 12 months' time, hopefully we're standing up here and building on Greg's panel. Well, in the last 12 months, the FSA has done this. In the last 12 months, the talent agenda, we've upskilled 500, 600, 700 people in this area. I, as a company, have developed new products and services. Sorry, Hannah, I know I'm sharing a taxi with you in a few minutes, so no pressure to yourself and Nigel as well. But Nigel turned around and saying Lloyd's is now actually developing a product here. We're going to pilot it on the Isle of Man. I know you're looking at me there. But wouldn't that be fantastic as well? So we're actually beginning to see action over the next 12 months and that we can actually have demonstrable activities in this space. And it's all about tangible progress. So much more to do and an exciting time for this agenda on the island. In closing, I would like to thank you again for all participating today. I would like to thank Michael and his leadership of Finance Isle of Man for driving this process the last few months. With Paul, Mike, Dina, Brad, Laura, Linda, I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. And then obviously Beth really keeping us on time today. Actually a little bit scary, Beth, because I saw you at the steps earlier on, and there's a clock here in front of me as well. But also to Zurich and PwC for sponsoring today. And we had our colleagues earlier on, both doing a huge amount of work in this area. Janice are coming all over the way from Dublin, from Grant Thornton. And then again, if I may, sorry, excuse me, also my final points, just highlight the members of the steering group. Because we've been talking about a lot of what other people have done the last today, but I also want to obviously thank the chair, Greg, for driving us as the chair of the steering committee. Bettina was obviously a member of that. You had David from the Cabinet Office. You had Graham from Manx Utilities. You had Stephen from Net Zero Isle of Man. You had Rob from Equirium Group. Stephen Quayle from Keynes. Nigel Simpson from Zurich. So again, Nigel, thank you for your help today. We had Hannah, who obviously came over and spoke earlier on, and we're on the same flight back to the City of London now, so she can't escape me. We then obviously have Mike, Paul and Dina. So this was a group effort, and I have to say I've been very proud to be involved in the group effort the last few months. I've really enjoyed my reconnecting with the Isle of Man. And so my final remarks, thanks you all. And looking forward to 12 months' time and we can actually show demonstrative progress. Thank you.